This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show. If you haven't heard, October 4th, they are preparing everybody for a nationwide test of the FEMA emergency alert. So in other words, if you own a phone, you're going to get an alert. If you have a TV or radio, you're going to get an alert. And people are wondering what this is about and why they're doing it. Well, there's a lot of things that go behind these emergency tests they do. Number one, they desensitize everybody to it. And it's not really a test, it's more of a drill. It's a drill to see how people respond. It's a drill to desensitize people to actual emergencies occurring. And of course, we do know, as evidence has shown us from Event 201 to the event in Maui, that when they actually do these drills, they actually, a lot of the time, almost 99.9%, they go live. Now, am I saying on October the 4th that's going to occur? No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is that when they run these drills, they do desensitize people to actual emergency. So they're used to this. So when they hear, oh, it's just another emergency, oh, it's just another emergency, not a big deal. And then these things go live, it's not a big deal to them. It's not a big deal when the government is putting you into a paranoid state. It's not a big deal when the government's creating the actual chaos and the actual emergencies that are occurring, and they're blaming it on Russia or blaming it on, the boogeyman in the cave, so to speak, blaming it on the climate. These are all things that they're responsible for. But we also see the propaganda being pushed and the fear being pushed and letting everybody know in all the local media markets about the October 4th test. Here are just here's your Sinclair Broadcasting Group giving the same exact narrative, the same exact speech, the same exact script, prepping you for October the 4th and their emergency FEMA drill.
This fall, you're going to get an emergency alert on your phone as part of a nationwide test.
FEMA and the FCC scheduled the drill for October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Your cell phone will get an alert that says this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed. FEMA and the FCC say they're coordinating with wireless providers, emergency managers, and others to avoid confusion. The reason for the test is to make sure all systems are prepared in case of a national emergency that needs to be sent out to the public.
Also new this morning, and sticking with tech, this fall, every consumer cell phone will be part of a nationwide emergency alert test. FEMA and the FCC have scheduled the drill for October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. You can expect your cell phone to receive an alert that reads, quote, "This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." The reason for the test is to make sure that all systems are prepared in case of a national emergency, and that needs to be sent out to the public. It'll be the second time that all cellular devices are tested.
Heads up, this fall, everybody with a cell phone set to be part of a nationwide emergency alert test. FEMA and the FCC scheduled the drill for October 4th, just after 2 p.m., so you'll know if you get it that day. It's just a test of that system. The alert on your phone should read, "This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." Now, the reason for that test, to make sure the public can be aware of any potential national emergency.
Every cell phone user in the U.S. will be part of a nationwide emergency alert coming up in the fall. FEMA and the FCC have scheduled the drill for October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. You can expect your cell phone to receive an alert that reads, "This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." The reason for the test is to make sure all systems are prepared in case a national emergency needs to be sent out to the public.
Now, it's pretty interesting that it's FEMA, of course, because FEMA is going to be involved in any type of drill that occurs, because we know that they've been spending all this money, all this time, and doing all this testing to get FEMA on the ground everywhere so that they can roll you into their FEMA camps. And don't forget, when you don't have a home because it's wiped out because of their weaponized weather or whatever event they do, or when they tell you that your entire city or town is quarantined and that everybody who was in that town has to be rounded up no matter what, even if they were indoors for 50 hours straight, they need to be rounded up and brought to a FEMA center. Remember, there's going to be mandates at those centers, and you're going to need food and water to survive at those centers, so you're going to have the certain mandate in order to be fed and have water. But here are the mainstream stories that are out there about the nationwide alert that is going on October 4th. And again, there's a lot of people out there that think that it's going to be a real event, that something's going down on the 4th. I don't know if there is or isn't. I'm just telling you about this, and obviously You have to look at the psychological effects of all these things because this is psychological war that's going on. Just imagine you didn't have a phone, you didn't have a TV, and you didn't have a radio. Would you know an event was actually occurring? The answer is no, you would not. You would not know. And that's what the irony of everything that happened with the outbreak that occurred, right? Was that if it wasn't for technology, nobody would have ever known that anything was going on. And there's all those memes out there. If you haven't seen them, you can look some of them up about the Amish people who don't use technology. They've all been made fun of their entire, everybody's seen people who are Amish before and they get made fun of because they look different. They don't do technology. Like, that's weird. That's strange. No, it's actually strange to be living the way that we're actually living. That's the way that we all should be living. Okay, is without technology. Technology keeps us under control, and that's exactly what they want. Of course, technology is used to spread the propaganda and the fear. So if you were living like that and you did see some of the memes, the Amish people didn't even know that the outbreak happened. Why? Because they didn't have phones and they didn't have all this technology to tell them that the outbreak was occurring. So what does that mean? Well, it means it didn't exist where they were because it only existed really in people's minds, right? Because they thought it was going on in the real world. They thought this was happening, thought that was happening, all because it was mind control. And people who were living off the grid and without technology were not fearful of this because they didn't even know it existed because they weren't getting sick and nothing was happening to them. So federal agencies will send the alerts on October 4th to ensure that the country is prepared to inform the public in the event of a large-scale emergency. Of course, they're prepared to do that. Right? How would they not be prepared to do that? We've seen, obviously, the emergency broadcast signals on TV. They play them usually in the middle of the night. But they run these tests all the time to desensitize people via their cell phone. Now, it's very convenient that they do this, but then when there's an actual event like in Maui, they don't really alert anybody of what's going on. Isn't that interesting to evacuate people? Yeah. So this article specifically says every television, radio, and cell phone in the U.S. is going to broadcast a message on October 4th along the lines of, this is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert Systems. No action is needed. Now, again, the other thing to remember is that they run drills in real time. They run tests in real time. The 11th of September, the Boston Marathon, Event 201, the event in Maui, a lot of these drills that go active at these schools, they run drills and then conveniently these things happen. And then you find out conveniently a week before that the police were there and the students and everybody went through these drills beforehand. Okay? These simulations go live a lot of times. So could something occur on that date? Yes, something could occur. I'm just not saying yes or no. I'm not going to be one of those people that says, yes, something's happening, warning you, and then nothing happens, and they just go on their lives go about their lives without saying, oops, I shouldn't have said that. Because a lot of the people who do that never take accountability for it. Because obviously, I don't know. I'm just telling you that a lot of these events do go live. So think about that from a psychological standpoint. They tell you a test is being run on the 4th, and then they do an actual event. Are people going to actually realize an event is going on? No, because if it's a test, it's an experiment. But I look at it also from the desensitizing angle as well as the drill angle, but the desensitizing angle, it's the fact that we prepare people for these types of things, right? They're preparing you for a threat to occur. There's really no threat. The threat is our own government. And they're pretending like, hey, we're going to just make sure, in case Russia does something, and we're going to have you all prepared for it, desensitized to the fact that, this is going to happen to us when it's not supposed to happen to us, and our government's supposed to, the military and stuff are supposed to be protecting us when in fact they're turning on us. They've gone completely rogue. So the test alert will be sent at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. The test will be conducted by the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, working in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission. The test is intended to make sure that the alert system is ready to warn the public in the event of emergencies, particularly those that have a national impact. If there is an actual emergency on October 4th, such as severe weather, a backup testing date is scheduled for October the 11th. How often are the tests run on a national scale? This will be the 7th time that a nationwide test of the emergency alert system is beamed to radios and TVs. This will be only the 2nd test transmitted to all cellular devices. And I covered when they did the cellular device a couple years ago. It was kind of the same thing. They had told everybody about it, and then people ahead of time were saying that there's a real event that's going to occur. But you never know. I mean, they could obviously do something. They're in control of this game, and they're the ones who are psychologically abusing the masses. So at the very least, we know that this desensitizes people so that when a fake simulated event, which will go live and is a real event, because they'll tell you it's a real event, such as anything with Russia that they'll say it is, which would be our own government. They want people to be desensitized and prepared instead of being like, why is this happening? Oh, and, getting together and banding together just to be prepared for it so that they're conditioned into accepting whatever the government tells them and doing whatever they say when they send out their national broadcast alert, which is going to happen sooner or later. It's going to happen before 2030. Okay, because all of this stuff is happening before 2030. And I know we all know about Agenda 2025. The answer to that is, do they have the ability to really speed it up to 2025? Yeah, but I mean, they have to have people under their full control. So it could take longer than 2025, but they've sped it up because they see that there's a lot of people who are pushing back against it. So they want to get it done before the people figure it out and turn on them, of course. So they say, the federal agencies want to make sure the technology is functioning, and they want people to know such an alert exists before it needs to be used. So they're telling you of predictive programming here, of course, because what other time period would they be like, we're going to send this out, an alert. People will be like, well, what are we afraid? What's the alert for? Why should we have anything that we're fearing? Well, they want you to fear the boogeyman so that when all the governments of the world who are working together decide to do this actual event, you'll think it's somebody else and something else going on, but you're already conditioned and prepared to accept whatever they tell you. So you get the emergency alert, in other words, and it says, hey, FEMA here, okay, this happened, and you don't see anything going on around you, right? You don't see it with your own eyes. Well, they'll be controlled by the phone that'll tell you to get to your local FEMA facility, and these people will be herded to their local FEMA facility, even though they don't see anything. They'll be like, well, there's an airborne thing in the air that you can't see, and everybody's getting it's anthrax, etc. You got to get there. And obviously, the number one way to control the masses is through the cell phone. It used to be the TV. Now nobody even watches TV anymore because they watch everything streaming, everything on their devices. So the phone, they act like, just people who have phones. Everybody has a cell phone, unfortunately, except for the Amish for the most part. And most people who listen to my channel, and I've seen over the years, who say, I don't have a TV. I'm not, I don't know about this stuff. I only know because you have a cell phone. You're watching this on the internet. The internet is way more toxic, just as toxic, I should say, than the TV. All the same things on the TV are on the internet, just a different form of media, but it's people are on their phone more prevalently, pretty much around the clock. So they know that they can psychologically reel people in and tell them an event is occurring. They're conditioning them and preparing them for it so that when it actually occurs, they're like, this isn't a test, this is real, that these people will go and do whatever they tell them without needing to see anything with their own eyes. And that's exactly what they did with the 1-9er, with the outbreak, right? Nobody was seeing but they saw it on the TV. They read about it on the news. So then they create a hysteria in the mind psychologically. And they've actually conditioned people to doing things to their own body because of this psychological operation that occurred. So, and again, those people were the walking, ticking time bombs, the ones that were actually spreading the weapon, so to speak. And I can't talk about that here on YouTube, only on the website. And again, by the way, I have a video up on the website, Uprising Revival. One of the funniest things you'll ever see is they're talking about universities, all these places that do studies, quote unquote, which is all fake, it's propaganda, are letting the narcissists out there know that only smart people are the ones who go and get it first. You know what I'm talking about, getting first. And that the smartest people in society are those people. So they're feeding into the narcissist. It's pretty much psychological operation, of course. It's just the upside down. So that's available on the website, uprisingrevival.com. So listen to this now. So speaking generally, alerts are only effective if people know what they are and they know what they do to them. The test also comes after the fast-moving fires in Maui, Hawaii, a disaster in which Maui's emergency management agency decided not to send sound emergency sirens that might have alerted people to the danger. Okay? So what types of alerts can I expect? They say, well, it's a good idea to practice how to use a nationwide emergency alert. Not many situations will call for such an alert, since most alerts are sent by local and state authorities. And again, they don't even have to create something. Like I said, I mean, they could just send the alert and tell you that this is happening, we're under attack. And you might be like, well, that would be insane. Well, these people are believing whatever they're told. So if they have the FEMA set up at the Walmarts or wherever they are, and they say, hey, we're under attack, this just happened somewhere, and and they turn the TV on, and then they see on the TV, some CGI event that they create or whatever, they'll be able to herd them in other states where they want to herd them. Or they can say the boogeyman in the air, right? Oh my gosh, anthrax is in the air. Get to your local FEMA. And what will these people do? They'll line up. So the public will typically receive local and regional alerts ahead of extreme weather or to seek cooperation, such as is the case with a missing child. A variety of alerts can be sent to mobile devices. Missing persons alerts also know, if the Amber Alerts, I'm not saying that they're not real. Obviously they are, with events that are like domestic events, we all know about Amber Alerts, and they are a good thing to have. But if like they really cared, there'd be an Amber Alert on everybody's phone every second of every day if we really knew what the government and these elitists were doing with children, which we know what they're doing. But if, Amber Alerts were really there for the people and to help the children, if you make people aware, your phone would just be pinging every 2 seconds because that's how prevalent it is. But they say a variety of the alerts, again, can be sent to mobile devices. The Amber Alerts are issued when child abduction cases, imminent threat alerts may be sent to steer people away from danger in extreme weather or active shoot events where circumstances can rapidly change, while public safety alerts may offer useful information where there isn't an immediate threat. Presidential alerts may be sent in a national emergency. So just, recapping that paragraph, think about that, right? What they're saying here. Imminent threat alerts may be sent to steer people away from danger. So in reality, they're going to be able to steer people wherever they want. That's what they're telling you. There doesn't need to be an actual event. They're going to steer people. So the event, there's something going on in D.C. or New York or somewhere else. They're going to steer you in your small town in Idaho where they want to steer you. And they're going to tell you got to get there. You got to go there. Is everybody going to comply? No. But we already see half the population complying to whatever they're told. So those people will. Okay? And they're going to create and use this to steer people, just like they're saying here. Steer people away from danger if there's an active shooting event or an extreme weather event, but they're really going to be steering you into danger. So that's the irony of it all. And again, it's your own government who will be doing it. They go on to say, have there been false alarms? In 2018, people in Hawaii received a false emergency alert warning them of an incoming ballistic missile. I covered that as well. Another YouTuber did. They said it took 38 minutes for the state to send another alert that said the first one was issued in error. The worker who sent the alert thought the state was facing an actual threat. Officials from the FCC in Hawaii said. So they desensitize people and they condition people by doing these things over and over and over. That's what the repetition is for, right? When we all talk about what's going on in the world and why we have so many stupid people, it's because of the conditioning in the school systems and through the media that's been beaten into their head. So they do the same thing here. They beat this into your head. The emergency alert, the emergency alert, right? Over and over and over. They desensitize you to an actual event and they prep you and condition you so that when the event occurs, that you're going to cooperate and be steered where they want to steer you, right? And I always use the school system and the media as a example because we all went through the school system for the most part. Whether you dropped out or whether you got a college degree, you went through the school system probably at some point. 99.9% of us did, right? And those of us who are here listening to this channel, including me, myself, we all broke free from the mind control. But it isn't easy at first to break free from it because of the conditioning and the repetition. That's how mind control works. So this is a tactical, this is a pretty much a not a black ops, but it's a psychological operation that's being done on the masses to condition them, to beat this into their head, to be prepared for it. And when it happens, their behavior, their reaction to it is going to be formulated from all these tests. And they're going to do exactly as they're told. So this is done by design, October the 4th. Does it mean that a live thing can actually happen? No, of course not. Can a live drill occur? Of course it can. We know that they go live with a lot of these events. Do I think personally on the 4th there will be one? No, I do not. I think that it's just another conditioning mechanism, and I think before 2030 there will be something when this gets sent out to people, and they will get herded where they want to herd them, and their game will continue to play out. You got to be steps ahead of them. You have to think of the psychological standpoint of all of this stuff, because this is a war on your mind just as much as it is a war on our bodies with the radiation and the 5G. It's a war on our brains, how we're thinking, right? The repetition, all these things are just basic mind control tactics, and we can all fall into these traps if we allow them to psychologically do this stuff. So you always have to be alert. You have to be critically thinking. And they know that people are being lulled to sleep with the media. They're being lulled to sleep with the chemicals in the air from the chemtrails all the way down to the chemicals in the food and the fluoride in the water. They're being lulled to sleep. So they're being conditioned without thinking. We need to make sure that we're psychologically always thinking. What are they doing? What are they trying to make me feel? And then you can pull yourself out of this matrix, and you could start watching how they're playing the game and being steps the same, not steps ahead of them, because you never can be, because they're the one in control of the game. It's not fair. But you can be steps ahead of everybody else. And you can see where they're going with this type of stuff. So psychological operation, October the 4th. Be prepared. Reminder, please sub to my backup channels if you haven't yet. And also check out, like I said earlier, uprisingrevival.com if you haven't joined. I highly recommend you do. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I thank you for being here. God bless all of you as always and your families.